welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name is Angela, and today I'm going to be doing another paranormal video for you guys. But before we get into that, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy my content. It really does help me out, and I do post new videos every single week, anything from beauty to paranormal. So if you love a little beauty mixed with your spooky, then I would love for you to join our YouTube family. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the topic. Okay, so today's paranormal topic was a little hard for me to choose, but I finally decided that I wanted to talk about the subject of shadow people or shadow figures for a couple of reasons. And if you don't know what shadow people are, basically it's pretty self-explanatory. It is, a shadow in a humanoid form. So it can be kind of described as looking like something that's kind of like a smoky black figure. And usually shadow people look like more of a man's stature with no facial features, no face whatsoever, just completely black, which can sound pretty terrifying. And a couple of reasons that I wanted to talk about this is because I have had some experiences, nothing super dramatic, just one in particular that really scared me that I did talk about in my paranormal experiences video. If you want to watch that, I will link it above so you can go check it out. But it was very scary, and a lot of people have had various experiences with shadow people. And one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about it is because upon my research or whatever, I found, a lot of instances that I feel like a lot of people have probably experienced, but maybe just didn't realize it was a shadow person. Of course, it could always be like a trick of the eye or something like that, but a shadow person doesn't always have to be like right there in front of you, super bold and out there. If you've ever been alone in your house and maybe the hair on the back of your neck stood up because you felt like someone was watching you and you turn around and there's no one there, that could be a shadow figure experience. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper and, talk to you guys a little bit about what shadow people, who they are, where they could possibly come from. And then I'm also going to share a little bit of my experiences, and I did find some pretty creepy experiences online as well that I'm going to share at the end of this video. So if you want to learn a little bit more and hear some creepy stories, then just stay tuned to the end. So like I said, shadow figures are usually all black with no facial features, which can sound really scary. And to be completely honest, nobody knows for sure what shadow people are or where they come from. There are theories, people who are more on the scientific belief side of things think that it's just a trick of the eye. I mean, which could be, I can understand that. I'm sure if you're watching this, you can relate. Maybe you have woken up in the middle of the night and your eyes weren't fully focused, and maybe you saw something that was in like a humanoid shape and you realized it was just like a sweater hanging on your door or something. Like, that's totally possible. But I have had instances where I've actually seen something and there's nothing there when I focus my eyes. So it's not like it was some physical thing hanging there that, was a trick of the eye. There are things that can't be explained that people have seen, my experiences included. So, I'm sure some things that have been reported as shadow people maybe were a trick of the eye, but I don't think all instances are. Now, people who do believe in these shadow figures, there are some people that think that these shadow people come from another dimension and are somehow able to cross over into ours somehow. And it's also up for debate what the intentions of these shadow figures are, because some people have had really good experiences or maybe just neutral experiences where nothing really bad happened, nothing good happened, but some people have had terrifying experiences. And there are people that believe that these shadow figures are harmless, that they don't want to bother us. Some people believe that they are like guardian angels in a way, just watching over us. And some people believe that they are fully evil, demonic presences that you want to avoid at all costs. Another theory that I found when I was researching shadow people is astral projection. So if you don't know what astral projection is, first of all, I know that everything I'm saying in this video is like if you don't believe in any of this stuff, that's totally cool. I totally respect that. But I am so open-minded to all this stuff. I find it so interesting and so intriguing. I don't believe in this theory per se that I'm about to talk about, but I do think it is interesting and an important one to note because it kind of does make sense. So if you don't know what astral projection is, it is the idea that your soul or your consciousness can physically leave your human physical body and travel outside of it to other areas of the universe. So the theory is that these shadow figures are people doing astral projection, and because they are still alive and they're kind of just away from their physical body, which is still alive, that's what their soul or their consciousness looks like when it is away from their body, which is a very interesting theory. I mean, I think that one's a little far-fetched for me personally, but I do think it is interesting to note, and it does kind of make sense if you think about it, because when you think of like ghosts and stuff, you think of people who have passed on, or a white figure, or maybe even an actual silhouette of an actual person with, you know, facial features and hair features and stuff like that. You don't think of just a black shadowy figure. So it would make sense that maybe these shadow people aren't, you know, ghosts, but maybe something from another dimension or something like astral projection. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I would love to know what you guys think. So obviously there are so many theories as to what shadow people are and where they come from, but those are some of the ones that I wanted to talk about that I found super interesting. Now, my experiences with shadow people, I feel like I've had a number of, you know, experiences that could have been shadow people, or maybe it could have been a trick of the eye. I have had one in particular, like I said, I did talk about in a video I posted a while ago, but I will mention it in the story just because that is the topic of this video. So when I was in my early 20s, I was on the phone with my boyfriend Gustavo, and we used to sleep on the phone together because, you know, when it was a new relationship, exciting, we did that type of stuff, but we would sleep on the phone. So we said goodnight, we were sleeping on the phone together, and I don't remember the details because this was quite a while ago, but I remember I was just starting to fall into sleep, but I wasn't fully asleep, if that makes sense. You know, when you're kind of like just right about to go into that sleep cycle, but for some reason you open your eyes and you're kind of groggy. That's what happened, and I saw something standing over me, like a black shadowy figure, like I described in the beginning of this video. It had no face or no facial features from what I could see. It was just pitch black. It almost looked like a hooded figure, to tell you the truth, and I think I said that in my other video too. And it was just like standing over me, looking at me. Obviously it had no eyes, but it was in the position like it was looking at me. And I remember being extremely terrified, and I literally pulled my covers over my head and just told myself to go to sleep. I was terrified. And a lot of people, when I first told the story in my other video, were like, I don't understand, why didn't you like get up and run? But the way my room was, I could not. I would have to get up and run through this figure to get to my door. And honestly, when you're in that state of mind, when something like that happens to you, you never know what you're going to do. I was like paralyzed with fear. I closed my eyes and I just kept telling myself, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And I eventually fell asleep, and when I woke up in the morning, obviously it wasn't there. But that was my scariest experience with a shadow figure that I know for sure was a shadow figure. And it did not feel like something welcoming or nice. It felt like it was definitely trying to scare me, to intimidate me, and it succeeded. Now, I have seen things, you know, in the corner of my eye multiple times where I have could have sworn, I don't know if, I'm sure everybody's done this, where maybe you're home by yourself and you see out of the corner of your eye, like maybe it looks like a shadow just like pass by you, and you look really quickly and there's nothing there. That happens to me all the time. And honestly, of course, it could be a trick of the eye, but I feel like it's not like where I look and it's like, oh, there's a coat hanging there, and I must, you know, it looked like a figure out of the corner of my eye. No, like I saw like a shadow moving. And I have also multiple times, all the time, almost daily if I'm home by myself, I always feel like I'm being watched. And that might sound crazy, but I do. Like I will be like cooking or watching TV, and then all of a sudden like the hair on the back of my neck will stand up, and it's because I feel like something's watching me. So I'll turn around really fast and there's nothing there. And I don't know, stuff like that just happens to me all the time. The other thing that I will say that has happened to me that is pretty scary is I have experienced sleep paralysis, and I'm not going to go into full details. I know some people have experienced sleep paralysis to the extreme of where they actually physically see shadow people, you know, crawling on the bed towards them or hovering over them. My experiences with sleep paralysis are not that extreme. If you don't know what sleep paralysis is, I don't know how to explain it well or what the proper terms are, but it's when your mind is awake, you know you're awake, but your body doesn't know you're awake, so you can't move. And sometimes during sleep paralysis, people experience things like this. And, you know, science will try and explain it away, that it could be a trick of the mind when your mind is in this, because your mind is kind of in this like fight or flight mode, because you're kind of in panic mode already because you're awake and you can't move. So I guess that, you know, which makes sense, you know, that maybe your mind can play tricks on you when you are in that state of mind because you're kind of in sleep cycle but kind of not. When I have experienced sleep paralysis, it is very scary. The first couple of times I experienced it, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't understand it. And I would wake up super, super groggy, not understanding what was going on, and literally could not move, nothing, not even a finger on my hand. I could not move. And at first I was confused. The first couple times I kind of just went back to sleep because I didn't know what to do. And then I would wake up and I would be fine. And I was like, maybe I was just really tired and that's why I couldn't move. And I know that sounds silly, but when this is the first time it's happening to you, you really don't understand what's going on. And the first time it ever, sorry, there's like little things floating in the air. And the first time that it happened to me was a couple of years ago in my 20s. So it's not like it's something I've struggled with my entire life. I just experienced it a couple of times a couple of years ago and have not experienced it since. So the last couple times that I experienced it, it did freak me out. I remember I was taking a nap on my couch in this apartment, and I woke up and I was experiencing sleep paralysis and I could not move. And I didn't see anything, but I could hear whispers and talking behind me. Like there were literally people standing behind the couch just talking. But it was like whispers. It wasn't like an adult, like a normal human conversation, like people talking like at a party or something. It was like, I know that sounds weird, but it was like full on like whispering. Like it just sounded like a bunch of people whispering. And I remember going into panic mode, being terrified because I legitimately thought that something, or there were people in my house. I don't know how else to explain it. It is one of the most scariest things to experience when you genuinely believe that you hear someone or even see someone, for some people who experience it, and you cannot move. I was so scared and I was so sure that there were people in my apartment, but I could not even move. I could not, turn my head to see if somebody was actually there. And eventually I think I did fall back asleep because I didn't know what else to do. And when I woke up, again, obviously I wasn't experiencing sleep paralysis anymore and there was nothing in my apartment. Everything was fine. But that was also a very scary experience as well, which I think could have been like a shadow figure type of experience, or who knows, it could have been like a scientific thing where, my mind was playing tricks on me because I was in that sleep paralysis state of mind. So to end this video, I did find a couple experiences online that some other people have had. Some of them are spooky and some of them are pretty neutral. So let's go ahead and get into those. When my daughter was between the ages of 3 and 8, she spoke of people with no face or figures of shadows. She would often wake me up telling me there was a man or a figure standing in her closet. The most frightening of stories. She woke me up to ask me if I heard the screams. She said there was a shadow who stood at her doorway and screamed at her and then flew into my room and screamed at my wife and I. At this point, she was in uncontrollable sobs, unable to understand why I did not wake up. She is now 11 and the encounters have stopped. She refuses to speak of whatever was going on with her and makes light of my questions. So the second story starts off. When I was younger, I had some teeth pulled and spent the next couple of days in bed. I fell asleep in the middle of the day and I remember slowly waking up to an indistinct whispering, like some people were talking to each other in the next room, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. When I opened my eyes, there were dozens of these tall, thin, shadowy figures in the room, definitely humanoid, but I couldn't see any detail. They were just dark, like your eye couldn't focus on them if you looked right at them. They moved around the room a bit, generally paying no mind to me. I was confused and curious, but not scared. Like I knew they couldn't really do anything to me or didn't want to. So those two stories I wanted to share because it just kind of shows the difference in experiences that people have had. And I do believe that, just like ghosts, there are good ghosts and there are ghosts with bad intentions. And I'm sure it's the same with shadow figures. I'm sure there are ones that have good intentions or neutral intentions, just minding their own business. And then I'm sure there are some that do not have the best intentions. The next one I can actually relate to. I forgot about this experience, but this is why I chose this story. So this one goes, my only experience with anything like this was after a particularly vivid dream in which someone was whispering what I can only describe as secrets into my ear. When I awoke, I looked directly across my bedroom and I saw a shadow darker than darkness, and it turned and looked at me. When I called out, it then turned and ran straight into the wall, and I'm sure I saw a kind of splash of darkness, like dissipating smoke, as it disappeared. I absolutely believe that whatever it was had been whispering into my ear before I woke up, and that I had awakened before he thought I would. I also just feel I know it was a he. So this I can relate to, which I forgot to share earlier in the video, I have waken up before because I could have sworn I heard whispering in my ear. And that is the most unsettling experience to experience. Like I said, this one in particular happened to me a long time ago, so I can't remember the details. I can't remember what it said. I think it like whispered my name or something. And of course I could have been dreaming, but I do remember that experience in particular. It felt so real, so vivid that my eyes just shot open from a deep sleep because I just remember sitting up and being like looking around the room and not knowing like what to make of it. I think I like went and asked my mom, like, were you calling my name? Like, did you come in my room or something like that? I can't even remember if I was alone. I can't remember. All I remember is that distinct experience, and it was very unsettling. So that was the last story. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting. I think that shadow people are such an interesting topic, and if you guys noticed, the stories that I told of other people's experiences all describe these shadow people as looking almost the exact same way. So, you know, is it really a trick of the mind? Because would all of our minds be tricking, you know, ourselves into seeing the exact same figure? I don't know. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this topic. If you have had any experiences with shadow people, definitely share them below. And please don't forget to subscribe if you love all things beauty and spooky. And as always, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!